Well, hopefully you will take the time to start doing that. And I encourage you as you're doing that, if you're thinking about doing a new enterprise, start small and really keep close track of your time and all of your costs. So that will really be helpful and to not jump into something too big. So with that, I want to, let's see, I'm going to give this over to Craig, and he's going to talk to us a little bit about gross profit analysis. I think you should
Okay.
have it, Craig.
It didn't. Okay, it didn't ask me. Okay, let me just
Okay, let me try again.
see if it comes across.
Forgive me for...
It's okay. It's always that first
Hmm. Maybe I'm not holding my mouth right.
time. Let me see.
It says you have it.
Okay, I'll see if I can. Alright. It seems to be moving. Okay. Oh, yeah. As Diana said, when you're looking at thinking about a new enterprise or actually evaluating your own enterprises, there's a lot of things that you need to look at to do that. And from looking at cost, actually how it fits in with what as we talked about before, how it fits in with your holistic goal and what's important to you. So there's a bunch of things that the research you need to do before really getting into to evaluating whether or not you want to do that enterprise. And last time we went to some testing guidelines, and I think that's one of the ways to help you really look at evaluating whether or not you would choose an enterprise or select this enterprise for you and evaluate how it fits in with how it moves you toward your holistic goal. And one of those tests that we hopefully some of you had a chance to go through a gross profit analysis and use the At-Home with Holistic Management as a guide to do that. And I'm going to go through cover that again this week, this evening, about the gross profit analysis and go a little more depth of how we can use that as a process to help you look at one aspect of evaluating an enterprise, and that is really the profit side of looking at a enterprise. Let me see if I can get it to do it. Next step here. Don't want to move.
If you click your left mouse button, Craig, that might start your system.
Okay. Yep, there we go. That did it. Thanks for that. When you're going through looking at a gross profit analysis, one of the things you want to look at, like it does, it looks at how profitable a particular enterprise is. And one of the key things is you may be looking at a new enterprise, but you don't want to forget to look at your existing enterprises as well, because they evaluate how profitable those are. Like Diane talked about it, she evaluated them at the end of each year just to see, okay, was that enterprise as profitable as I planned it to be this year? Because things might have changed, as Diane talked about. Somebody else may come into the market, or other aspects may change on maybe your production was down that year for some reason. There was some other issue that came up. So it's also a way of kind of looking at evaluating risk. And when you look at a gross profit analysis, it's solely looking at the enterprise itself. It's looking at the income for that particular enterprise minus the expenses that are specifically related to that enterprise. And it's trying to give you a clear picture of just what that enterprise is contributing to cover your other fixed costs or overhead costs. And one of the things, Diane mentioned that on the garlic, in that example that she sent out, it's a gross margin analysis. And there's a little bit of difference between gross margin and gross profit, and one of the main differences is how it allocate. Sometimes a gross margin analysis will allocate some of those fixed or overhead expenses into an enterprise, and the gross profit doesn't do that. And I'll kind of try to explain why some of the reasons it doesn't include that. one of the things that the gross profit analysis doesn't include the fixed costs, and these are costs that are that would happen no matter what enterprise you decided to go with. If you have, you have a tractor that you're making payments on, that would not be divided up wouldn't be divided up between enterprises. It would that's an overhead cost, and it would not be included into the gross profits analysis for an individual enterprise. And sometimes labor. Diane talked about two aspects of labor. One was that, for example, the beans example she provided, whereas that she may have to, if she went into a larger amount of beans, that you would actually have to hire somebody to harvest the beans. Then that would be a specific cost, and that would be a cost that you would include in the gross profit analysis because it's specific to that enterprise to harvest those beans. But if it's labor in general, if it's just your time and energy, it's important, as Diane said, to keep track of that, but you would not put a value to that and include that into your gross profit analysis. I'll show you how that comes into a point later, but it would not be included in the gross profit analysis. The variable costs, or sometimes they're called direct costs. These are costs that are specifically related to that enterprise, and these may be, if you have a crop, it's seed costs, looking at cover crop that you put in to help improve that fertility of the soil related to that crop. If it's related to animals, it could be vet costs or buying of hay. One way of looking at that cost is an analogy that you would, for example, you're thinking about you're standing on a bridge, and if that water, if that expense or that water has passed by you, you've already expended that money or obligated those funds, then that is a fixed cost and would not be included in the gross profit analysis. If you haven't had that expense yet, it's something that and it's going to happen in the future, then that would be a variable cost, and it would be included in the gross profit analysis. Kind of give an example to look at, specifically related to when an item is a fixed or a variable cost. So we're going to do a poll on this one just to look at what do you feel as far as this trailer. We bought this, for example, bought this trailer 2 years ago. So I asked you a question whether or not this is a fixed or is it a variable cost. You could run that poll. That would be great.
I'm going to go ahead and launch the poll. So is this trailer a fixed expense or a variable expense? Over 80% of participants have voted. Almost 90%. I'll give it a couple more seconds. 94%. Okay, I'm going to close the poll and share the results. So 100% said that it is a fixed expense.
That's great. I'm glad that is correct, and it is already been expended, so it is a fixed expense. So that's just a way of looking at how you would divide those expenses out and which ones would be included and which one would not be included. So this is a fixed expense. So if you, for example, I need a trailer for my goats. Well, I've already purchased that trailer. It would not, the expense of, if I had to make a payment on that trailer, it would not be included in my gross profit analysis because it's already been expended. So just a quick review of what gross profit analysis is. Again, it's the gross income of that enterprise minus the variable cost, and that is the gross profit. And this helps you determine how much of this enterprise will contribute to cover those overhead costs, such as land payments, tractor payments, your time, money for your time and energy spent on that particular enterprise.